All right. Good to go, Ken.
All right. Well, with that, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Alpine District September Roundtable meeting. Great to see everybody online. So nice smiling faces. Everyone here in uniform for as we get started for the scouting year. Tonight's meeting obviously is online. We'll go ahead and get started with flag ceremony. So I'm going to flip to the next slide here. So please join me by stand up. We're going to do Pledge of Allegiance, please. I'm going to stand back here so you can sort of see me here. That's my midsection. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2, you may be seated if you're not already seated. Thanks, everybody. All right. So tonight's meeting, we're doing a similar to what we did in March and April. Do a Cub Scout session at the beginning here for the first 25 or 30 minutes. We'll break in the middle for general announcements. I've got a handful of things. No one else may have announcements that goes with that. And then the Scouts BSA session will start just after that. I'm guessing around 7:40 or so. We have 2 speakers or groups of speakers talk about first virtual summer camp experience with a couple of our troops, and Troop 776 is they'd like to share some information about or their experience with using patrol method to engage scouts from that may be working remotely, as well as options for larger in-person gatherings. With that, I'm going to pass. I see Kat has joined us. She's not run from the fire just as yet, and Wendy as well. So let's go ahead and pass the ball over to those folks. And I'll go ahead and stop presenting for the moment. All right.
All right. Hey, everyone. Give me a moment to share my screen here and we can start. Okay, can you see welcome back, setting up for the school year bonus email? That is what you will be, thank you for the thumbs up and the nodding heads. This is what you will be receiving after the meeting, so you don't need to worry about taking notes or anything like that. I wanted us to go around, say our name, our pack, our position, and then an absolutely ordinary fact about you. So it's sometimes, you know, when people are put on the spot, it's hard to think of an interesting fact. So just a regular boring fact about you. I'll start and then hopefully Wendy will be able to close this. So I'm Kat Ressler. My son is part of Pack 495 and I am the Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner alongside with Wendy McBride. Oh, and I don't have a dining room. I made my formal dining room into a library because I like books more than food. So David?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to speak.
Gregory? Either of you?
Hi there, I'm Gregory Kraft from Troop 498 and 8498, and my absolutely ordinary fact is I was a weather officer in the Air Force, and that's why I keep doing the Weather Merit Badge.
That's fantastic. And what is your role? Are you on the committee side or the den side?
I'm an assistant scoutmaster, and I was invited because I was involved in the virtual summer camp.
Fantastic. I'm sorry to pick on you. David, if you don't mind going next.
Sure. David Bader, Cub Master with Pack 682. That's right, both my kids. And ordinary fact, I used to build race cars when I was a younger man.
So watch out for him in the Pinewood Derby. Gary, you're here visiting. Trevor, are you here for Cub Scout Roundtable? And I don't see any other.
Yeah, I think I was supposed to be with the OA. I think I'm in the wrong meeting, sorry.
No, you're all good. It's just a little bit later. So
Okay.
like, check back in 20 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Cespelan, I'm not sure if you're a participant here or the Lorax.
Yeah, Cesplin is Steve Esplin. I'm with Troop 1776, and I'm the Scoutmaster for that troop.
Cool. Thank you. So Wendy, if you want to go ahead and present, I'm not sure if I've overlooked you, please let me know.
All right, I'm Wendy McBride. I am co-Roundtable Commissioner, and I've been a Cub Scout Day Camp Director. An ordinary fact about me is I am vegetarian.
Excellent. So we're just going to kind of walk through this outline, and I'm going to open this to everyone because it is important that all units meet, socially distantly now. And while these will be Cub Scout examples, it never hurts to hear some extra resources. So whose pack is not, or unit is not meeting distantly now? Does anyone have that issue?
At the troop level, our boys troop is just starting to meet again remotely. We've actually been on a bit of a hiatus since March. So we've had a couple events, but they're actually starting to have a regular advancement nights. We'll start remotely next Monday.
So that's awesome because you have the plan in place to start it, and some people
Finally.
did take the summer off,
Finally.
and that's okay. Yeah. So how about some success stories? David, what did your pack do this summer?
Let's see. I mean, we just had our first pack meeting last night, actually. Tuesday night. So that was our first meeting back. Over the summer, we did a scavenger hunt, socially distanced, and we did intervals of different dens around Yellow Lake in Kahani. So we put up signs or little Cub Scout type things like neckerchiefs or hats or something that the kids could then walk or run around the Yellow Lake, and then they had a map, and they could also use a compass for orienteering and find all the different items. And they ran around with the parents.
Sounds a lot of fun, and it was socially distanced, so double points for you. This year, Wendy and I helped with day camp. While we did have a few hiccups, it was a really overwhelmingly positive experience. We had a lot of good feedback from the people who participated, and we actually had so many people participate, we had to open a second round. So that was kind of neat to see the council come together for what's normally a district event. So for those of you, well, you're all meeting. So, but just real quickly, make sure you set up your platform correctly and make sure that they are password protected without an embedded link shared. That's where most of us get in trouble. We embed the password in the link and then just assume that people will be responsible. Unfortunately, we just have to assume no one is responsible and monitor that ourselves. So please make sure that you're doing that. Many events can be done virtually with a few tweaks. So basically, what can you plan virtually? Or what can you do in person that you can't plan virtually?
Pinewood Derby is going to be a fun one.
Well, yes, that that will be a challenge at the pack level for sure. But you've actually brought up something that Family Fun Fest is this weekend, and they are actually doing a huge Pinewood Derby virtually. And they're going to have videos on tons of topics. And so the idea is kind of have your scout bring a friend to this really incredible event. So hopefully that will give you some ideas, David, too. But yeah, some of them will be tricky. Some of them will require work, but all of them can be done virtually. Popcorn, campouts, rain gutter regatta. Weeblo's Wood this year is going to be virtual. So there are ways to do bigger level events as well. For membership, I just want to remind you guys that it is recruiting month. So update your PIN to win. I think you have until this weekend to do that. Basically go into the system and make sure your unit's PIN is updated, and everyone will appreciate it. That's how Scouts will find you. Family Fun Fest, as I was saying, what I'm most interested in is how they run some of their events and see what I can learn from that, and how I can grow from that. But I know my son's looking forward to the actual race. So recruiting, I know that Wendy's going to get into detail about, but it's very important this year that people are able to find us. So whether that's geotagging Facebook posts or whatever you need to do, there are people who want to join us, I promise you, but they need to be able to find us. So, you know, if that's something you could take back to your unit, I think that's probably one of the most important things. For any of you, every year we set up a loose plan, but this is not Wendy and my roundtable. We run it, but it is for all of you. So we were hoping to field some topics or speaker suggestions for the upcoming year. And I don't want to put too much pressure on anyone. But if you think of anyone or anything, please reach out. My email is KHRESSLER@icloud.com. Because we want this to be a roundtable where people feel comfortable discussing and they aren't stuck listening. Wendy and I had put together some Cub Scout specific announcements. PTC is going to be October 17th. It will be done virtually. Actually, David will be teaching den leader training, right?
Cub Master.
Cub Master training. And we have a lot of other interesting classes that you can't get online too. So make sure you look into that. Basic position training can be done online. That being said, I encourage you to also go to things in person, because those trainings tend to be much more thorough and personalized. Please prepare rosters for recharter coming up. You're going to want to start to clear whatever happened this summer. I will just call it a mulligan 2020 and start cleaning up that roster so that when recharter hits, you and your people aren't having to do quite as much work. There have been an increase in fees. Everyone should have received emails about that. There are district downloads and videos. So I wanted to show some of these resources. This is an example for a tiger den that the DEs have put together. And what they have done is actually pretty incredible, if you ask me. But they type out kind of what's in the book, but then you can't see me pointing. But the highlighted thing right here. So that means that they're suggesting you do that at scouting from home to complete things in a timely manner this year. So that's an excellent resource right here. Oh, backyard jungle. And it goes week by week, things like that. So please be looking for those, as well as, no, that's the tiger one. They have suggestions for pack outings, such as a socially distanced hike, which it sounds like people are pretty familiar with that. But it just has all the reminders, what to do, and kind of it's trying to steer people in the right direction so that there's not quite as much to figure out. And then a few websites that I really wanted to highlight, and I'm sorry because I've lost all of them.
So those guides are available. They're up on that website I just put in the comments of seattlebsa.org. for scouting from home. You have to scroll down a little over halfway to get to them.
It's worth it though.
Yeah. I also have them as PDFs if you're interested.
And I also have them as PDFs, so just okay. So
And
I'm
David,
sorry.
if you're interested in sharing any kind of recruitment ideas, let me know. I'll gladly steal them for the council.
All right.
Like I said, Wendy will be discussing that a little bit later, but to cover the membership portion here, we have whole websites dedicated to this, getting ready for the fall. These are all included in the outline we're sending out, but this is, for example, a Scout sanctioned blog, a lot of great information from there. Oh. Basically, the other couple things I wanted to show you was the Alpine calendar. Know it, love it. There is, if you go there, it has our events, which is important. But if you filter like this so that you basically only have council, training, Alpine, camping, and whatever else you need, you can filter that down, and then you can actually add the calendar to your online calendar. So right here, the calendar feed you can subscribe to. So I did want to make sure people knew that was available, because that is a huge tool in terms of helping find council resources. And then Wendy, I'm bringing it up, I promise. Oh, here's the socially distanced hike we discussed. I am so sorry, guys. Here we go. So, and then Wendy also included the district webpage, the downloads page. I think we also have where you can get recruitment materials and things like that. So, Wendy?
Yard signs are popular this year.
All right, I just want
Less so.
add a couple of comments to what Kat has said and Chris has said. So those bin and pack meeting plans that the council is putting together, they're really awesome. And what I like about them is they also include links to local events. So for instance, they're talking about the fur, feathers, and fern activity for bears, and they have links to the Seattle Aquarium and the Woodland Park Zoo. So you can take your field trip to the nature center right there locally. And before I start, I noticed that Chris had something he wanted to say about doing Pinewood Derbies virtually. So Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so one way to be able to still do these derbies, because I know a lot of the kids really like to do them, is if you allow people to pick up their cars, or however you want to get those car kits to them, then they make it at home like normal, and then do some kind of a drive-in drop-off of your cars or your boats or whatever, and then stream the event live, on a Zoom, so you can kind of do it that way for the actual. So it's kind of like they're watching TV. You can make it all exciting. You can dress up, whatever you want to do. But I think that's definitely an activity that actually works out pretty well. At least for the cars in the space derby, the regatta, I know part of it is blowing. I've seen a pack where they just put box fans behind it. And,
that was what I was gonna say. Because it controls for the speed, and then the kids don't get upset.
Yeah,
of course.
And those derbies. I know the Pinewood Derby is definitely one of those big ones. That can easily still get done if you have access to a track and in a place and a location to do them while doing it social distanced and virtually. So, and you can even record it if you want, and put it on for your anyone in the pack to see. So, anyways, wanted to share that.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you. And another plug. See, one of the classes I'm especially interested in is the virtual meetings class. So that'll be awesome. All right, so on to membership. If you scroll down, Kat. Wait a minute, I just realized I want to scroll back up to resources. So National has put together some resources on how to do Zoom meetings that they've posted. There are some Zoom trainings for those of us that are just complete newbies. How to do a den meeting safely. And there's some really great virtual den meeting resources. It's on the same page as the Scout Book Den Leader Tips and Tricks videos. So they also have videos that you can show at your den meeting. It looks like they have them for most of the adventures. All right, now we can scroll down to recruiting. All right, so I first wanted to ask how the PACs are recruiting this year. What are you doing?
Sending emails to the pack to say, bring your younger siblings.
Awesome.
So that's actually worked fairly well for us so far. I think we've brought on 4. We're also advertising in Peach Jar, the school email announcement for the 2 schools that we are at. I think it's about $80 a month per school. So we're doing 1 month, pick our, I think next month we're actually going to hit it hard. And then that email will go out to all the parents for the entire school, for both schools, and go from there. We talked about the Facebook geocaching, and as a committee, we elected not to because we all hate when that happens to us anyway. So we didn't feel, if we didn't like it, how are we going to push it upon other people?
I assume you meant geo-fencing?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Clarify.
Geocaching's a lot more fun.
badge.
Yeah.
Another thing to think of is, a lot of Scouts friends that weren't hadn't joined Scouts before because maybe they were, they did sports or whatever. They might be looking to have another activity to do now that their current club or activity has been canceled. So that's another thing to think of and to reach out with. Is that that scouting is one of the few things that can be done in today's world. So
something that we also did, only because we were financially able to, is instead of raising the rates for this year, because that was a complaint over summer, we actually lowered our rates because everything's virtual, and as a pack, we're then subsidizing the rest of the amount.
Oh, that's really.
And so that's kept. I don't think we've lost anybody at this point, and we've gained. I think in total we've gained 6. So
that's
if
fantastic.
You're fiscally able to, then that's something that we did.
Another thing you can do is yard signs. There is some fear of them getting lost in a, cemetery of yard signs, but nice ones are, welcome back to school, love pack, whatever your pack number is. And that's actually still advertising for your pack. People are driving past that every day. I know that there have been some units with great success with that.
Get free yard signs from us here at the council.
Mm-hmm. Use those marketing materials. You do not have to start from scratch. I'm sorry, Wendy. Go ahead.
Yeah, when Chris was talking about the kids inviting their friends, the peer-to-peer recruiting is some of the most effective recruiting you can have because the kids can talk about their wonderful scouting experience, the fun they've had with the Pinewood Derby or summer camp or whatever. So that's especially good. So I did want to point out some resources. Again, National has been really helpful in this regard. I thought one of the best resources they have is the virtual recruiting playbook. That basically has letters you can send and how to hold recruiting events. So that one's really helpful. And of course, our council has put together some ideas on their Scouting from Home webpage. There are a number of very helpful recruiting webinars VSA has put together that talk about how to do geofencing and utilize social media. I've also listed a video there for outdoor recruiting, how to have an outdoor recruiting event, and again, a link to the BSA marketing materials. Just quickly summarize the suggestion from National on holding an outdoor recruiting event. They say you can have either a drive-by or an outdoor recruiting event, and you would hold it very much like you would if you were in, say, a school gym, only it's spaced out a little bit more. You'd have the same sort of information stations. You can see them listed there, how scouting works, your showcase your PAC events and your PAC calendar, talk about advancement, have an activity for the kids, registration, payment, questions and answers. Other bells and whistles you can do to gussy things up would be to have a campsite demo, any really great visuals for your PAC activities. And one of the things they suggested that's kind of important is because your folks are trying to stay socially distanced as they move through these stations, you really want to assign somebody to help and deal with the bottlenecks. If, you know, maybe pull someone aside so they can have their questions answered, or, you know, help them with whatever they're struggling with. Now, if you choose to have a virtual recruiting event, some of the feedback National has gotten is that there's really no need to have a kid activity going at the same time. Often at a recruiting night, you will have something for the kids as well as the adults. They say, yeah, let's talk to the parents. Kids are going to go watch TV or play anyway. And scrolling down to advertising suggestions, it's really tricky right now, but National says, you know, logically, we just really want to be where the families are right now and be visible. So some people across the country have gotten really creative. They've done pizza box flyers with QR codes, flyers and posters at takeout restaurants, grocery stores, places where the kids are buying school supplies. Again, the yard signs, point them towards Family Fun Fest. And there are still things you can be doing now, 5 things you can still do. One is to reach out to parents and leaders. You want to be talking to them now to find out how best to restart scouting. Do they want to have meetings outside, inside, virtual? Do they want to do the advancement activities at virtual meetings or just have the parents do them at home? Those sorts of questions. Be talking with your PAC families. Reach out to schools and neighborhoods, find out how the scouts can be helping schools and neighborhoods, and if there's a way that scouts can be safely meeting at the chartered organization locations or schools. Obviously, as we've talked about before, you want to update your Be a Scout PAC website. If you had old information about when PAC meetings are, PAC and DEN meetings are at the schools, that really needs updating. Guerrilla marketing ideas, again, door flyers, a twirly sign on a street corner, next door, one of those social media options. And you know, those were the highlights that I gleaned from the information that's been coming out from National. I'd like to turn it back over to Kat.
And Kat would like to turn it over to Ken. I think we've run a little over on time, but before I do that, I do want to ask if there are any leaders who have questions over what we just covered. Again, this doesn't have to be at the Cub Scout level. These are all things we should be doing at all levels. So feel free to speak up.
Kat, Wendy, thank you so much. I really like the guerrilla marketing approaches there. So a lot of good ideas on that. This is obviously going to be probably more than usual challenge in terms of recruiting this year, but it's really important. And also a lot of families who may have had their children in sporting activities that may not be happening. And in fact, scouting is still happening, maybe not in quite its normal form. Is a good opportunity for us. So take advantage of that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my share a screen here again here. Let's see here. I get the, so I can share my, that one. Can move too many windows and too many different screens. All right, let's try again here. Share. All right, so let me go up here. All right, can everyone see my announcements here? There should be a big yellow
Not yet.
thing about. Okay,
Oh,
well, let me go in there. Probably better if I hit share.
Now we do.
Yeah,
you
we got it. Okay, good. All right, very good. All right, I mentioned this last week at the district committee meeting. I think Chris can certainly speak to that better than I, but Service Center is open. Do recommend calling for appointments in advance or talk to somebody. Scout Shop is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I was in there a couple weeks ago and looks about like it usually does. Talked to Ian for a few minutes, which was great. All right, kind of echoing something that both Wendy and Kat already talked about in terms of updating your online material, whether that's your PAC or troop website, to show when and where your events are happening. If your PAC or troop website says that your troop meets at this church on Monday evenings at 7 o'clock, that's probably not true right now. But in a few cases that might be the case, but generally that's probably not true. Certainly not true if you meet at a local public school, elementary school or something. So you want to update that. You might also want to update what's on the BS Scout so folks come in or things posted on social media. The other thing there, if you don't already, I've just pulled this up, make sure your unit is set so that you can accept online applications. That's by far the easiest way for Cub Scout packs to have people apply. It goes right into the system. So just make sure your online materials are current for the current situation. All right. This was announced several months ago, but make sure everyone that's on the call is aware in terms of the membership fees. So Scouts into membership fee is $66. This is at the national BSA national level. It went up, I believe, it's $6 from about this time last year. I'm glad that it was announced a while ago, so we're not just hearing about it in November. There is a annual charter fee, and also there's if someone is brand new to scouting, not someone that's transitioned from PAC to troop or troop to crew or what have you, there is a one-time joining fee of $25. I added this at the bottom in blue. Important if you're doing online applications, I do recommend, at least for Cub Scouts, the national dues, Boys Life subscriptions, and council insurance fees are collected at the time of the application online with a credit card. So if you've got someone's going to do an online application, they're paying those fees, the annual dues, the joining fee, the council insurance fee, Boys Life, if they're interested in that. Those get collected at the time the online application is processed. That changed at the beginning of August. So if you're used to collecting all of your dues and then paying the council, that's fine for your current members, but for someone that's new to the troop that's joining, it gets collected there. So you may need to adjust how you process that a little bit. All right, Kat already touched on this, which is great. This 2 days from now, the Family Fun Fest. They're doing a large online Pinewood Derby, which looks like a lot of fun. Won't talk about that too much because it's already been mentioned. Did everybody hear from Weeblos Woods? I was expecting or hoping Christian Holmes would be able to join us. Well, I can certainly talk about it. Anyone else on the call would like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I was on a couple of the planning meetings.
Great.
So unfortunately, I don't have the program guides or anything to show. But Weeblos Woods, it's going to be a little bit different this year. It's going to be done virtually. If you go to seattlebsa.org/Alpine, you can see the guides out there. I also sent it out to all the unit leaders and committee chairs, so you should have that, and it was also in the Alpine newsletter. So anyways, go and check that out. It has a lot of information in there. It's we're charging $3 per scout. Obviously, it's a lot less than previous years. We don't have a site rental to deal with. Pretty much
No
our
lunch,
yeah.
no hamburgers.
So pretty affordable. We have 12 Cub Scouts signed up for Weebles Woods already since it opened up about a week ago. So that's pretty cool. And I would say that this is, I think this is going to be an important thing for our Cub Scouts and our Scouts BSA Scouts to participate in. So for those who aren't familiar with Weeblos Woods, what it is that Cub Scouts get the opportunity to learn some kind of, Weeblos specifically, get an opportunity to learn various Scout skills from Scouts from troops. So these are usually focused on, Scout rank level type stuff, or maybe some of the tenderfoot type things, some basic knots, maybe cooking or whatever. Kind of the simple skills, and it's a great opportunity. Frankly, I think it's a better opportunity for the Scouts that are teaching to get some of that leadership experience. It's a lot of fun for the Cub Scouts because they, really look up to the older Scouts, and it's also during this time of the year, it's a great program to be able to just here's a scouting program that is all, it's going to be district run. Well, it's not going to be, it's led by a couple of district people, but it's going to be run by people out in the district, different troops and everything. So, we have this program already. Why not we'll sign up for it instead of trying to, come up with your own thing to replace it. It's already here. So, I strongly recommend both troops and packs do it. It's also a great opportunity for troops to, showcase their troop to Weeblos that are looking for a troop. You'll also get the opportunity to kind of talk about your troop a little bit, where you're located, when you meet, that sort of thing, and promote that. So anyways, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to mention here other than go check out the guides, the troop and pack guides.
Yeah, those are new this year. Thanks, Chris. There's a guide for both packs, another one for troops on sort of what to expect, how it's going to be operated, basically all the information you need. So I encourage every troop to participate and run I'll say a virtual station for an hour or so. Present share some help teaching some scout skills and introduce your troop to other Weeblos around the district. And if you're from a pack, I encourage you to have all of your Weeblos to participate and the Weeblos leaders. So great event, a lot of efforts going into it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the price is definitely right. And we did look at the face mask there has been added to this year's patch. I'd recommended a roll of toilet paper, but I got overruled. So anyway, that's what we have. So let's put all right. Next, hey Carol, let's talk to us about the PTC this year.
Hi. So yeah, PTC is the Program and Training Conference. So we've been holding it many years now at North Seattle College. It's basically a scouting version of college of sorts. You have classes where you go for different trainings. Some are all-day events, some are only an hour. This year it's all virtual, and not only is it open for our council, it's also open for multiple councils and multiple states. So you'll be able to connect with scouts from all over the place. The website's there if you've already registered, because we originally, as I said, we're going to do it at North Seattle College. We are going to be refunding you on the site that you originally registered on. So you'll need to re-register on the site that's down here. And I'm also going to link in.
Kara, I think you're muted.
Can't hear you. There
How
you
did I
go.
get muted? That was weird. Okay, where was I? Okay, so the link I put in chat is gonna that you'll need to re-register yourself on. You'll be registering where you get different classes at different times. And we've got an expo hall going. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I highly recommend that everyone come check it out this year.
Great. Thanks, Carol.
Oh, one quick thing. If you are on staff, email me and I will give you a special code for a discount on tickets.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yes,
That
David, I saw those
includes-
fingers.
Includes David Bader and amongst others. All right. With that, any other announcements tonight? I'm going to pass along to Carol to talk about, and also Gregory Kraft talk about Troop 498 and 498 virtual summer camp that they ran this summer. Just a reminder, our next roundtable meeting will be a month from now at the usual second Thursday evening of the month, 7 o'clock. That one will also be virtual, just like this one. So spread the word. Any other announcements tonight? All right, with that, Carol and Greg, if you want to, or Gregory, you would talk about, do you have a slide material you want to put up on the screen to look at, or photos maybe from the event?
Yeah, if you could let me share my screen, I've got a PowerPoint presentation.
Great. I'm releasing the virtual dot.
Right. Hey, there we go.
Ooh, I like that. Very festive.
Let me see if I can put this in the slideshow mode. Can I? Hey, there we go.
Yep, great.
So yeah, we did a virtual summer camp this summer. And I'll go into sort of the ideas and the reason why, the sort of prep that we did 2 weeks prior, what our campfire was like, the camping in the backyard, which we did as part of this virtual summer camp, merit badges and trailed first class classes, and our thorns and roses at the end, as well as some statistics. So the idea and early planning was that we found out our physical summer camp, which was Parsons, was going to be canceled about 2 months prior to our actual summer camp dates. So that was kind of a bummer. And we started talking to, at our committee meetings about, well, what do we want to do? We discussed looking at virtual summer camps that other councils were putting together. But what we mainly discovered about them is that they were expensive. Oftentimes they were as expensive, if not more expensive, than going to Camp Parsons was going to be. So that kind of made it so it's like, well, the scouts can go to one of those if they want to, or we can put together something ourselves. And Gregory was the one who really wanted to do that. And we all went, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it.
So my motivation was we had a lot of scouts that were looking forward to this, and the things that we were hoping for out of the summer camp, the normal things that you're hoping for out of the summer camp. Now, aside from the get away from your family and go do the camping thing and only have a shower twice kind of a thing that scouts normally do, they also want to get some progress towards ranks. They want to get some progress towards merit badges. The kinds of things that a summer camp normally can get you in a week that it's hard to pull off in any other period of time. You find time here and there to do merit badges. The summer camp's a real great way to make a lot of progress, and we were going to lose that opportunity for our scouts. Additionally, we also had the Cub Scouts who had just transitioned over from their old packs and joined our troop. They had been able to get maybe 2 or 3 meetings before everything locked down. And I really didn't want them to have the experience of, well, that's the end of scouting for you. So no, we were going to have scouting. And summer camp is the payoff for doing your year of scouting. This is where you get a lot of stuff. Now, obviously, we can't do everything. We can't have the complete experience, but we could at least get some of the things that the new scouts were looking for, try to get them done with their scout rank, and get some of the scouts who are already there up a couple other ranks. And then we had some older scouts that need progress towards various things to get them along the path towards Eagle. They needed merit badges and some other things. So that's kind of where I was going with my motivation for the virtual summer camp.
And nights under canvas.
Absolutely, because that's hard to get, especially because what's the number that we need? Was it 16 for a camping merit
Yeah,
badge?
it's somewhere between like the upper teens and the 20s. It's in,
right.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, the scouting did a virtual camporee earlier in the spring where people camped in their own backyards. Well, take exactly that kind of idea and give the scouts the opportunity to camp outside. I made a simple rule: if rain can hit you, you're camping. Now you just have to set up something so you don't get wet. And then we went with that idea and gave everybody an opportunity to show off what kind of things they set up. Some scouts found that they were in a low spot in their yard, and the one night that we had rain, they discovered what the problem was with that. But that was a learning experience, and that's all very good.
And if, it was safe, because if they needed to, they found out they were in a low spot, they could bail back home if they wanted to, or they could write it out.
Right.
We also had, adults who had already planned for that full week off so that they could go to physical summer camp. So we could utilize those adults, which was perfect. And we spent several virtual troop meetings getting buy-in from both scouts and the parents. Hey, who wants to go? Who wants to do what? What sort of merit badges would you like to do? And so that worked out really well. So 2 weeks prior to the actual event, we held a meeting to put together a skeleton of what we wanted things to look like. You were the one, Greg, who had the full access to Zoom, right?
Right. My company had given us every employee authorization to use the full-featured corporate accounts for personal reasons and also to support charitable organizations. So I was able to set up multiple Zoom rooms that we could use repeatedly throughout the week.
That's a big resource. That's really nice.
We also decided early on that we wanted to keep things busy for the scouts, but simple for the adults, so that people could come in and out, and the scouts would still have plenty of things to do, and the adults would have stuff that they could help with, or stuff that they had work issues to deal with, stuff like that. We also decided we wanted a virtual campfire. We decided that was really important. And we did hold one every single night, and we decided that they should be themed. So the first night, the adults did a sort of, this is how you kind of do a virtual campfire, where our theme was the outdoor code. And then every night after that, we had, we divvied up the patrols where they got 3 points of the scout law, chosen at random. and they had to incorporate those somehow into their campfire program, either through a skit or a story or something. We tried to stay away from songs because those are hard to do virtually. But we decided we wanted there to be a theme. Oh, and the PLC was going to do the Scout Oath on their campfire night. We also decided we wanted to do, trail to first class for rank requirements, and then at the very end of the week, have one meeting where it was going to be, all right, let's do Scoutmaster conferences and any little thing you have left, and sort of square things away. So we put together a skeleton, which looked like this. So we put in merit badges, some of which were multiple sessions over multiple days in 2-hour chunks, afternoon and morning sessions. We also did the camping merit badge as a full sort of week course to go along with actually camping in your backyard. And we, as I said, we also had the campfires sort of divvied up on who was doing what. And with this skeleton, we kind of found out where our holes were. Where didn't we have too deep leadership? Where did we need to find maybe another merit badge to fill in a time slot? And we started plugging those holes. Craig, do you want to talk about any challenges there?
Well, we had really hoped that we would do a morning session for Trail to First Class and an afternoon. The idea is to give the scouts who were new scouts who were working on their ranks, to give them as much options as possible. And then we wanted to provide as wide a variety of merit badges as possible, both elective ones and Eagle required ones. And so that people who needed to fill a hole in their advancement schedule could find a place to do that. Turned out that, so I wanted to do the weather merit badge. I can do that one in 3 2-hour sessions, and I've got that one pretty well nailed down, so it can be done that way. So I was doing that one, and then I needed to get the Eagle one. So Jeremy Peary took the entire camping merit badge himself. So he was doing a full day of work at work, but then he would come home, and starting at 6 to 8, he was running that every night. So that was good for him. I wasn't able to find people to take some of the Eagle merit badges that I wanted to get in there, so I did them myself, and we just slotted them as best I could into the spaces. And Carol ran 3 merit badge sessions of different ones. Not every merit badge to be finished in one go, but we did the best that we could there. Obviously, a lot of the Eagle merit badges I was going for could not be done in one session. There's no way to do physical fitness in one day because there's the 3-month time scale. The same thing with family life, and the same thing with personal management, all of those. But I was giving the scouts strategies for how to attack those processes. In fact, the first Monday, I did the combined Trail of First Class / physical fitness. My presentation there was, how do you do the rank physical fitness requirements at the same time as the merit badge physical fitness requirements? You only have to do it in one pass. And so that was the strategy I was giving to the new scouts so that they could get it done once. We have a question in the chat about were they offered chiefly by available counselors? Well, I was available and Carol was available, and that really drove what we wanted to get out of there. I have a lot of merit badges in my stable of things I do. Basically, I cover all the Eagle merit badges plus some extras. So, but I was picking and choosing what out of what I could do. Carol had her 3 that she already had materials for, so that drove it. So we didn't have as much as I was hoping for, but we had enough to fill out a schedule.
And we'll talk more about merit badges in the next couple of slides, but one of the big points that was like, for the reading merit badge, the first requirement is visit a library. Can't do that right now. So for these, we got done as much as we could. And then once we can physically go to places again, they'll finish up the requirements and we'll get them signed off. But let's go to the next slide. So the campfire program. So we planned a short week-long running theme, which I already talked about. The ASMs and SMs ran on the first one. We told stories, jokes, kept things light, kept things entertaining. Big point, we made it so in chat, in Zoom, that you were only limited to sending messages to the host. This means you couldn't do an @ everyone. So we weren't getting spams in chat, because they may spam a chat if it's @ everybody, but if it's, at their Scoutmaster, they're not necessarily going to spam anything at the Scoutmaster, or they'll get in trouble. So we made sure the campfires were limited to no more than an hour. We kind of kept things on the fun, the light side. At the end of the week, Greg did a wonderful flag retirement ceremony. I was actually really moved by it. It was awesome. We thought about doing, can you do songs over Zoom? And with everybody singing and everybody being slightly off sync, not to mention slightly off key, not exactly the best thing to try to do over Zoom.
Yeah, multiple audio inputs do not work over Zoom or anything else like that, because there's always the delay. And I actually have an app on my phone, which I got many years ago. It's a voice disruptor. And what it does is, it's just a very simple program. You put your earbuds in, and then you talk into it, and it feeds your own voice back to you in your own ear with about a 1/4 to a 1/2 second delay. It is a fantastic way to completely jam your speech center. It doesn't work. So when you have multiple people who are all trying to say the Pledge of Allegiance at the same time, and all of them are unmuted, you end up sounding like, we pledge of allegiance to, because it literally jams your neural centers. So it's absolutely necessary that whenever we have to restrict the voice input to one person who leads at a time. If there's a song, one person can do it, and we can have the video of everybody else joining along, but one person makes the audio. Otherwise, it just disintegrates, and it doesn't work.
And for several of the nights of the campfire, we actually invited local PACs to join us. So we kind of used it as a recruitment tool as well. So that was fun. We also, since this was all virtual, you had your nephew join us from Texas for most of these, right?
Yes, I did. My nephew in Texas, I let him. I mentioned to my sister that I would be teaching the weather merit badge, and young Jeffrey said, "Well, his troop wasn't really doing anything, so we just hooked him up, and I got him done with the weather merit badge. I think he joined for a couple of other sessions as well. He couldn't do them because he's 2 hours off, and he couldn't join the campfires, but he was able to join a couple of things."
Yeah. So if you have, friends who are out of state and, need something to do for Scout, invite them to your events. They may be in a different time zone, but it will all work out. Camping in your backyard. Okay, so we made that a huge deal. So, so every night that you did nights in your backyard counted as nights on for Canvas for the camping merit badge. And since this was camping at home, some of the setups got very, very elaborate. Camp Perry was my favorite, which had a craft station, a pole, elaborate tent setups, and it was pretty impressive. We also had scouts who were in hammocks. There was one that looked like they had some sort of tent thing off the ground that they climbed up in that wasn't quite a hammock. And each night at the campfires, we would ask the scouts to, share their video and go around and virtually show us their campsite, which was pretty fun. So we had, and we also did, as we mentioned earlier, the what went well, what didn't go well from the night previous. We had scouts who told us that backyard rabbits sound exactly like bears in the middle of the night. Or that one scout found out his dad snored for the very first time.
Wasn't my scouts. My scouts already knew I snored.
Yeah. And it's safe. So if anything went wrong in any way, they could bail back into their house. But if they did that, it would not count as a night under canvas. So that was kind of our ground rule. Merit badges and Trail to First Class, we offered 8 merit badges, 4 of which were Eagle required. We made sure that every counselor was up to date on their YPT, and that we're registered with the district to be a counselor. Before each meeting, we had a Zoom room open to go. We also made sure that we had links to every single Zoom room in our troop website and our troop calendar. So they had one-stop shopping of where to go to find all the links.
I also backed that up with hitting our website and doing a quick update. So there would be an email sent out for everybody who had registered for that event. They would get a follow-up email that made sure that they had the Zoom room in it. I did that specifically so the people who didn't check the website couldn't log into the website, particularly the scouts who don't. We get an email that says, this is your link.
We also had links to the workbooks for the different merit badges. And we also sent out, like, if we were doing a PowerPoint slide presentation, we sent it to them afterwards so they could use it. We also had, some merit badges, as I mentioned, with the reading one, you can't quite cover everything. So we covered as much as we could. We also had no more than about 10 scouts in each badge. Though some had a few more than that, but on average, it was either 10 or less. We also had a second adult in the room, not just because we needed YPT and second adult coverage, but also so that someone could monitor the chat. Because as a presenter, you're not necessarily got one eye on your presentation and one eye on chat. So having someone on that really helped. So basic thorns and roses afterwards. The scouts had a great time. The adults had a great time. It was a great time. A few technical hiccups that we worked out in general. And of course, some patrols were more polished and prepared for their campfire skits than others. But that's true if they're at actual summer camp too. So, basically the biggest thorn was the fact that we were virtual. We weren't in person. And, maybe a little bit more planning, but then again, no good plan survives contact with the players. So, it all kind of worked out. We probably had about, 50 to 60% of total scout in our troop participation, especially a lot of the new scouts. And about that same for the adults as well, probably was my guess. And, it went together pretty darn smoothly. And just remember, be it in person or virtual, all paths lead to camp. Any questions?
Carol, Gregory, thanks for sharing that. That's a great event to pull off in a relatively short period of time. So you guys, your scouts obviously had the benefit of your enthusiasm to make that all happen. I have just a general question about obviously if you're at camp, you're all sort of all there together doing stuff and or participating. In terms of how did you balance sort of time with having scouts sitting in front of a screen for 12 hours versus a day versus kind of going off and doing things in the background? So there's kind of they're engaged, but they're kind of off doing stuff as well.
Right. So we knew that there's no way to keep a scout in front of a screen for 12 hours and have that be interesting unless you're really fantastically entertaining.
Or it's
So,
Fortnite. My kids would
right.
stay.
Yeah.
My kids do it for 12 hours. I have no question.
Yeah. And the other problem is they might just bring up the screen and then they'd be playing a game in the other one, like they do at school. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to keep it down to 2-hour sessions and then give big breaks in between. So that's why we had a 9 to 11 period, and that would be one topic. And then there would be a 2-hour break between 11 and 1, whatever's happening for lunch, whatever they want to, they're working on their paperwork, on their worksheet, whatever, that's their business. Then we'd have a completely different thing from 1 to 3. And then between 3 and 6, nothing. That gives them plenty of time. So if they want to do some video game time, get a snack, maybe dinner's early, who knows. We weren't we weren't trying to trap them in a virtual cage. And we knew that people would be in and out according to their times. We had some families that were going to be going on a vacation later in the week because they had rescheduled something to physically go camping. We knew we were not going to have 100% participation from any one scout necessarily. So we went in with our eyes open on that. The campfire, another 2-hour session in the evening, but it was also we understood it would be an ideal time that maybe a scout is having dinner. They would be having dinner while they are doing whatever. We tried to keep the scouts on camera, sort of like they do for school, so that if we see them getting kind of distracted, maybe we could ask them a question, try to keep them engaged. And that's part of the reason why we couldn't have much more than maximum 10 scouts in a session, because as you notice here on Zoom, we have about 16 squares here. If you get a whole lot, if you got the presenter, the second adult, and then that gets you down to 14 maximum. And after that, you start getting second pages. You're not going to get more than 16 files on the screen at the time. That's a limitation of how Zoom does the presentation. So we're trying to keep the video on and make sure that we can see them and get the visual feedback. But we try to keep the material very interactive. One of the things I did while I was doing Trail to First Class, obviously, want to teach knots. Well, I saw one of our scouts try to do this in the last scout meeting. It didn't work out so great while they're trying to do it. But I figured if I get 2 entirely different colors of 550 cord, and I hold them close to the camera, you can actually see the knots as you tie them back and forth. If you got the same color, you can't see it. So you got to do a little bit of tricks to make things work on camera, where otherwise, if I was doing this in person and I'm trying to tie a knot and doing this, the other thing I would do is I found some good resources. There's a website called animatedknots.com.
Yeah,
and it is absolutely fantastic. And they specifically have a scouting knots section where they go over their knots, and every knot they show the animation of here you start here and you loop around here and you do this kind of turn and then you do the other thing, and they do lashings, they do basic knots, everything else like that. It's a really good resource to go to when I was trying to teach knots. So it's not a good idea to try to build everything from the ground up. There's no way you can do that, not and try to cover everything you want to cover. So you gotta try to economize wherever you can. Now, on the last day, on the Saturday, what was Trail to First Class was actually a rank cleanup. I had a lot of people in the session, and we did not have specific things we were going to be doing that day. It was going to be, the scout comes in, I need to demonstrate a knot. So I would do a breakout room so they would go with the scoutmaster and a second person into a breakout room. That's part of the reason why I pulled everybody in for adults on Saturday, so I could do breakout rooms and still keep YPT running. but I had to keep everybody else entertained when they were waiting to go into their Zoom room. So somebody the previous day had found a joke merit badge, the social distancing merit badge. And so I just ran people through the joke requirements of how to find a mask, how far away do you keep people, and I discovered that at the bottom of that was a link for a patch for the social distancing merit badge, and I decided that was going to be our camp patch. So if you can't see that in the chat, it's a little coronavirus on a 1.5-inch patch, and I've got about 40 of these things to give to all of the scouts when we do our next Court of Honor.
And in terms of answering the question in chat about how many scouts on average, I would say probably 20 to 25 per day. They weren't necessarily all in one, event. So they might be in the morning merit badge, maybe in the camping merit badge, maybe come in, something like that. And then another scout would be in an afternoon merit badge plus the campfire. So on average, I would say we had about 50 or 60% participation. So that's, 20 to 25-ish scouts per day. We're about a 40 to 50 person scout troop, I think, right now. And that actually helped too, because as we were alluding to, if you were in a morning session, then you've got all the afternoon until campfire to do, gaming or chatting or videos or internet stuff. So it kind of kept it so that we had a rotation of scouts and we didn't necessarily see the same faces each night. Though some scouts were in pretty much everything. But there were also, some who only showed up to their patrol's campfire, which was okay too. It's your summer camp. Do as much of it as you want, or as much as your parents are poking you to do.
Great. Sounds like a great event. Like I said, I'm glad they're able to participate and get some advancement in the summer. So thank you both for joining. Cool event. With that, I'd like to pass along to Steve Esplanade. I apologize if I butchered your last name. Steve, you want to share a little bit about what Troop 1776 is doing with the patrol method, and also trying to engage scouts remotely, as well as looking at opportunities for perhaps some larger in-person events and how to do that in a large open space outdoors to continue to have meetings or events.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Ken. Just a quick check. Can everybody see the screen that I'm sharing? Does that look okay?
Can. Yep, all good.
Right.
Looks
awesome.
Nice.
Hey, everybody. This is actually my first time attending this event, so I thought I'd just do a quick intro, and then I'll get into some of the things that we're doing from a troop perspective to engage kids and get them back into a actual in-person activity. So my name is Steve Esplin. I have a scouting background that's I'm just getting back into it. I started as a scout master in December of 2019. I'm a Eagle Scout. I got that back in '91. I was actually on a summer camp staff for Boy Scout camp in a camp in Minnesota called Many Point in '91 and '97. I did 2 high adventures, Philmont and Northern Tier in northern Minnesota. As far as family, my wife is Morgan. She's on the left-hand side there. And then I've got 2 sons, both in the scouting program. My first son is Jake. He's a Star Scout. And then Henry is a second-class Scout. We're in Troop 1776, which is located in Snoqualmie, Washington, just off of I-90. And we've got 2 troop programs. We've got 1776, which is our boys troop, and that has about 41 boys. And then back in February, we started a girls troop, and that's 8776, and that has 9 girls in it. So roughly about 50 kids in our program. Talking about some of the, I'm just going to build this slide out so we can see it. But the thing I want to talk to everybody about tonight is what we're doing in order to get our troop meetings back in person. I think if I thought about the spring and reflected on the spring, I think our PLC did a fantastic job with running online meetings that were really engaging. But the feedback that I got pretty consistently was, hey, great meetings, but it's online and kids are staring at their screens for 6 to 7 hours a day in school. Pretty tough to have them come back and do another hour at night. So what we tried to do is figure out how we could actually get in-person meetings going. And we came up with a couple parameters, and we ran this through our meeting on Tuesday, and it seemed to work pretty well. So I'll kind of share what we did. First thing is we went to an outdoor environment. So we're not in an enclosed space. We're actually in a outside. We're in a field. In the fall, we're going to run it on Tuesdays, and we've actually gone and backed up our meetings earlier in the day so we can take advantage of the sunlight. So we're meeting Tuesdays from 6 to 7. I think in the winter, the reality is going to be that we'll probably need to meet on the weekends as long as we need that outdoor environment. The second thing is everybody's got to wear a mask. That's required, no exceptions. And we require it from the time they get out of their vehicle till the time that they actually get back into their vehicle and have their folks drive them away. At all times, they have to have social distancing. It's 6 feet apart. And the way that we message it to the kids and the scouts so that they can understand it is we say you both have to stick your arm out. And if you can touch each other's arms at any point, you're too close, so you need to separate. The other thing that we're doing is we're having them group by patrol. So all of the activities, all the opening, closing ceremonies, and activities in between are done at a patrol level. So we're trying to keep the groups relatively small and contained. And then the other thing that we're doing is we're really trying to focus the meetings on being activity-based. We want to keep the scouts moving. We want to keep them engaged and interested. And then we want to make sure that they're able to do an individual effort and be active within the group. So it's really about keeping them moving, keeping them engaged, because we know at the end of the day, a lot of scouts get squirrely, and that's when you start getting them starting to chase each other around and breaking the social distancing parameters. So it's, we're trying to run very quick meetings, 1 hour in length, and very activity based, keeping them really active. So as far as the setup for the patrols, essentially what we do is before the meetings, we designate a patrol area. We've got 6 patrols, and so we set up 6 different areas, and we mark them out with cones so that they have established parameters. And generally the patrol area that we set up is about 20 feet by 20 feet. And then what we tell each kid when they go into the patrol is that they need to stay 6 feet apart. So if you think about a 20 foot by 20 foot area, and scouts stand 6 feet apart, you can essentially get 9 kids in each patrol area. And so we set up, you can see the illustration to the right. We set up each patrol area 20 feet by 20 feet, and that allows kids to stay 6 feet apart within those areas. So when the scouts arrive, we make sure that they have their masks on. They got to go directly to the patrol area and find a spot that's 6 feet apart. And then we also ask that they arrive no more than 5 minutes before we start the meeting. And that's essentially so that they're not standing around and waiting for an extended period of time. Then we start the meeting, we go through the activities, and then when we leave, we dismiss them by patrol, and then the scouts need to go directly to the vehicles and head out. One of the things that we're working through is, hey, there's at the end of most of our meetings before COVID, we had a lot of the scouts that were doing sign-offs for either merit badges or advancement. And we've actually tried to start moving that to more of a remote base. As far as the types of meetings, we've gone through one and we've got 2 more set up in September. And we're gonna kind of see how they go and then meet as a patrol leaders council and figure out where we wanna go from there. The first thing that we did on September 8th is we did a Frisbee golf outing. Next week, we're going to be doing a hike. It's going to be about a 4-mile hike. And then on September 22nd, we're going to be doing a bike ride. So again, these are outdoor activities where each scout can be participating, each scout can be active and moving the whole time. So I'll just kind of give a case study on the Frisbee golf that we did. Essentially what we did is we created 9 holes of Frisbee golf. it was a pretty simple setup. We went into a wooded area that had a couple open spaces, and we set up cones as tee boxes, and then we used ribbons to set up some goals or holes. So if you can see there's two pictures to the right. You can see that it might be a little bit hard to see, but if you see this guy, this is Les Korn right here, and he's standing right in front of one of our goals or our holes, and it's just two ribbons that are strung between two trees, and you can see that some of our girls from the girl troop are throwing their frisbees at the next hole, which has a cone right here. So it's a pretty simple, easy setup for the kids. They had a lot of fun and they were engaged the whole time, and I think it went overall pretty well. We gave them a couple guidelines. Number one was safety. We said that they had to stay 6 feet apart. They had to wear the mask. We had thorn bushes in there, and we actually had elk that we had to chase out of the area before we got going, which was a heck of a lot of fun and quite a fun experience. But we told them that they had to be careful of the thorn bushes because there's quite a bit in there, and then they could only touch their own frisbee. We made sure that they were having fun and they needed to keep safe. And we made it so that they couldn't keep score. They needed to have positive comments, and there was no wild throws. So it's, hey, you guys, we want you out there. We want you active. We want you to have fun. This isn't going to be competitive or anything like that. This is just to get you guys out, active, and having fun in a scouting program. The procedure that we use is they went through the course by patrol. We released them every 4 minutes onto the course. And then we had the patrol leaders try and manage them through the course and make sure that each group was staying socially distanced. That's what I have. I didn't want to take up a ton of time because I know it's late in everybody's day, probably after a day of work or hard efforts. But any questions or thoughts or guidance on this?
That does still looks like some fun activities. I like the frisbee idea. Where did you actually meet for that? I'm up here in Snoqualmie, so you've got a little more open real estate around you.
Yeah, there's actually a facility that was started up. It's just about completed. It's called the Youth Activity Center, and essentially it's about a 6-acre plot of land between Snoqualmie and North Bend, and they've got a nice little meeting area that they're building. It's almost complete, but then they've got a nice open field, and then you go back into the woods about 100 yards and it opens up into a camping area that they're developing. And so when we set up the frisbee golf, we set it back in the camping area, and there's plenty of trees that you could make little holes with and kind of have some obstacles to make it a challenge for the frisbee golf.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, the Youth Activity Center. Yeah, we're hoping to use that for some of our adult training events, wilderness first aid, and other training events back in this coming spring. So it's a great facility for us to have available for us for district events. So
yeah,
very cool. That's a lot of fun. Steve, it's great to have you join us this evening. That's kind of a neat way to do things and try to get the scouts engaged in what they're doing and have some in-person, outdoor physical activity, and still meet social distancing guidelines. So good effort on your part. Thanks for sharing. Any questions for Steve?
Steve, can I ask a question about whether you considered, I think there's like a frisbee golf course in Carnation or somewhere around there. Did you consider that as a possibility, or were you trying to go somewhere that was more wooded and not necessarily a structured location?
Yeah, it's a great question. We try and keep our activities around the Snoqualmie area. There's some challenges and limitations people have on getting to remote areas, and we're trying to hold down the carpooling at this point. So we're trying to base it out of the Snoqualmie area at this point. But it's a great call out because the kids loved the frisbee golf, and I wasn't aware that there was a course in Carnation. So that might be something that we think about in the future. It's a great call.
Thanks for
the Carnation
presentation.
Yeah, the Carnation frisbee course starts where the Snoqualmie Valley trail. The rails to trails. Trail is good for biking and hiking, but right where that crosses, or the main street, kind of Incarnation, the course starts there. It's a more open area, a little bit of trees, but it's more true frisbee golf course.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Could be where something to keep people spread it out and using only their own frisbee. Well, that's great. Fun set activities. Good to hear what people are up to these days and what they did over the summer. Keep scouting moving forward. I guess I'd meant to introduce our new district chair, Todd Brown, who's been quietly nodding sagely at the right times. Todd, do you want anything else you want to share with the folks tonight?
No, I think I've been introduced 4 or 5 times now already.
Well,
So
probably several more. We'll keep adding.
Yeah. No, glad to be helping out any way I can for the district, and appreciate everybody's help. Great job tonight with all the presentations. It was all really good, useful information, and timely too. Right here, we're just kicking off our new fiscal scouting year, and I'm sure units are looking for creative ways to be able to work around the current restrictions that we're in. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Great. And Chris McNeil, our district executive, anything else you want to share from the council?
Hey, so yeah, thanks to everyone for coming today. Welcome to New Year's Scouting. You know, I know in March, a lot of us were thinking this pandemic would just be over in a couple of months. And here we are in September with not really knowing where the end is going to be. However, you know, scouting is resilient and we will persevere. You know, I've been really heartened to hear this last couple of months. Us talked with some of you about what you're doing to continue to provide our youth with our scouting program. And, you know, we are much better prepared coming into this year. And I look forward to working with you all.
Great. Anything else around the table? Quickly,
Yes.
Carol?
So if you're looking for an IOLS course, so that's Introduction to Outdoor Leadership Skills, Northern Trails, I think that's the new council, right? Chris, I'm not butchering the name.
Northern Trails is one of the districts. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to host a virtual IOLS. Where they're going to do the majority of it online virtually, and then get together later at some other date to do the camping portion of it. Or at least that's my understanding. I believe you can sign up online, and I also believe it's open to everybody in any district. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris?
Yeah, it should be available to anyone. hadn't heard about it, but yeah, you can.
Oh.
You can't you know, make something not be available for whoever wants to sign up for it. So
Great. Well, hey, great meeting. Great way to get started for the new scouting year. Excited to try to see things we can try to make happen during this school year and scouting year. So with that, I'll go and wrap up the meeting and say good night to everybody. I'll hope to see you this time next month at Roundtable or other times. So thank you. Scout on. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good.